Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 394. Man, we're getting closer and closer to 400. I bet we get it within 6 working days. All right, welcome. It's Friday. We made it. And I tell you what, I had a good breakfast with Ricky there. Ricky's already on the chat this morning. Man, we had fun, and the news started breaking all over the place. It's crazy, some of the stuff that happens sometimes, but let's try to make it through. And I had a cough drop because I was losing my voice a little while ago. The president is on his way home. He's somewhere. Okay, but he's coming back. All right. So welcome to the JPA report. As we are getting started, if you can and you want to, please do so. Click the follow button and then click the like button for the episode and then engage us with the chat. All right. Like Graham Allen says, the more times you click the like button, the more times people are able to see the episode. Same thing with comments. The more times you leave a comment in there, the more chances people get to see. All right. That's the honest truth. All right. They don't like me, Rumble, putting comments in the comment section because then they say we're spamming. But the comments are made for the actual listeners. All right. All right. So follow and then like and then chat and then leave a comment. All right. So America 250. I was telling you this morning, pretty cool thing happened for the 16th of May, which is tomorrow, right? The Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia passed a resolution establishing a national day of prayer, acknowledging the United Colonies' defiance against Great Britain. So if you ever wondered where the National Day of Prayer came, way back then, that's when it started. All right? So that's good stuff. So next is the armament shop. So whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the Armament Shop is Copper's Cove's premier source of all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL, which is your concealed handgun license. Jason can handle those classes. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, or call or text at 254-560-2023, or visit them at www.armamentshop.com. That's armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. All right, I'm back. There we go. All right, so what was I going to say? All right, now we're on the Iran update. There was something else I was going to tell you. I can't remember. I'm losing it. Man, hope y'all like my shirt for Red Fridays. I just got it in a couple of days ago. It's by Till Valhalla Project. I got it on Facebook. They have a regular website. It's good, but I like it a lot. You ought to see what the back part looks like. Matter of fact, I'll swing around backwards just for a second so y'all can see it, okay? All right. Turn around. Oh, man, you see the back of my chair. Okay, wow. Maybe I'll have to do it different next time. I forgot I had the high back. Oh my goodness, man. Y'all should be laughing right now. All right. Iran update. 75 vessels have been turned back so far. Trump said about Iran's rejection. Unacceptable sentence included weak nuclear guarantees. Trump suggests U.S. could enter Iran over nuclear dust removal dispute. The IDF strikes Hezbollah after a rocket fire into northern Israel. The Israeli-Lebanese peace talks are showing progress. $200,000 is offered for the ex-United States Air Force intel analyst who got caught spying for Iran. Iran accuses the United Arab Emirates of involving in the conflict between the United States and them. There was a seized ship near the United Arab Emirates. It was discovered that it was a floating arsenal. Right now, Brent crude oil is trading at $109.18 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate is trading at $104.99 a barrel, and right now in the stock market is at 49,523.99. That is down 539.48 points from yesterday. All right. Let's see one thing. I want to see if it's recovered a little bit more so far. It's down 406. So it's recovering. It's at 49,656 points right now. Okay, let me get back over here. All right, so that's your Iran update. All right, so before we get into this language of civil war, which is, oh my goodness, you ought to see the website that goes along with this junk, because I actually looked it up. Some of it I already knew, but I did not know what she was talking about. But you know what? When you're allegedly probably intoxicated, the truth comes out. So I'm pretty sure she had a couple sips of some stuff before she started talking. All right. But you never really can tell with Kamala Harris, because if her lips are moving, she probably had something wet on it. All right. So the thing that I wanted to bring out really fast, I'm talking about alcohol, okay? Keep your mind clean, okay? So this came out about an hour ago. Longtime Democrat Representative Stephen Love My Kentucky Fried Chicken Cohen announces in the re-election bid. So Democrat Representative Stephen Cohen of the 9th Tennessee District in Tennessee announced on Friday he signed a document requesting not to be included on the ballot on the Tennessee's 9th Congressional District. The congressman described the district determined by new lines as nothing like the 9th District that he represented. The Democrat primary in the district is scheduled to take place in August. Cohen's ending his re-election bid after 19 years in Congress. Good riddance. Let me put it like this. He wants to be a congressman. He wants to rely on the minority vote to get elected. He doesn't want to espouse his qualifications to be a legitimate congressman. Because if he was, he would run for re-election and get the votes he needed to get elected to the House of Representatives. But no, he wants to lie, cheat, and steal, and he gave up the ghost because he's not going to run for re-election because he doesn't have a guaranteed win. Sucks to be him. Now he can go apply for a job at Kentucky Fried Chicken and eat all the Kentucky Fried Chicken he wants. We're done with him. Good riddance. All right. So I'm sorry, people. I don't have no respect for that guy. All right. So Kamala Harris. Man, I had some really good stuff planned for this podcast and stuff, but we got to go through this nonsense that comes up after the sun comes up. Now, so you can tell that some of my uh, the morning report, the morning brief is different from the JPA report because the news changes so fast sometimes. And then what I get now. All right. So this is unbelievable. I'm going to go ahead at rest. Oh, retired Rob is on vacation in New York, and he's in Rochester, New York right now, in Monroe County. All right. All right. I hope I don't have you cause you to have a wreck there, Rob, okay? Just be careful driving down the road listening to the JPA report. All right. So here we go. Next. This came out this morning. I reviewed a little bit about it. I looked at the website. It was talking about this as utter nonsense. I call this seditious insurrection. Yeah, because this is crazy. Former Vice President Kamala was dragged online for a laundry list of progressive, quote unquote, bad ideas she wants to bring to the table at what she's dubbed the No Bad Ideal Brainstorm for Democrats. Harris said during a Wednesday night live stream on Win with Black Women, there's a reason why I wasn't on that podcast, okay? Uh, I'm not a black woman, all right? And I know what a woman is. Uh, that Democrats need an expanded playbook, quote unquote, and need to consider radical positions ahead of the 2026 midterms, including abolishing the Electoral College and packing the Supreme Court. But wait, there's more. Look, this is a moment where there's no bad ideas. A no bad out brainstorm is what I like to call it, Harris said in the video, which quickly went viral on social media. And in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we need to do and think about doing around electoral college. We talk about the ideal of the Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court. We invite a conversation with multi-member districts. Oh my, that is seditious. That is totally against the United States Constitution. And to think about doing so, it should be she should be investigated, and she needs to be arrested for sedition and conspiracy to overthrow the United States government. Okay, we stopped at the red stop, by the way. Who died? Flag though. You know what, Rob? Okay, Rob brings up a really good idea, people. He told me there's flags at half staff everywhere. I noticed the same thing here in Copper's Cove a while ago. I forgot to look it up. I have no idea. Give me a second here. We're going to take a time out, okay? So, flags at half staff. May 15th. Flags are at a half staff on May 15th in observance of Peace Officers Memorial Day. And this annual congressionally designated day honors federal, state, and local law enforcement officers who died or were injured in the line of duty. All right. Meanwhile, okay, Rob, I hope you heard that. All right. All right. So, and in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we need to do and think about doing around electoral college. We talk about the idea of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court. We invite a conversation about multi-member districts. Like I said, unconstitutional. All right, so there's more to this. We're going to go to a website just saying that I can see. I haven't figured out how to get it to where y'all can see it. I might need another monitor. Harris also suggested considering statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C. and for fighting back against Republican-led states' redistricting efforts. We got to neutralize red states from cheating, including blue states expanding their maps. We got to fight fire with fire. They're playing to win. Harris's comments sparked a firestorm on multimedia. New York City Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, she's a Republican from Queens, slammed Harris's rhetoric, accusing her of using the language of civil war. Democrats have declared the entire electoral process illegitimate because they sometimes lose elections, she posted on X. They are prepared to torch the entire country in order to neutralize red states. This is the language of civil war. Senator Mike Lee, maybe a few bad ideas. And then said Kamala Harris doesn't think this is a bad idea about destroying the constitutional republic. Senator Tom Finn of Judicial Watch said that. And then there is radio host Eric Erickson wrote, if Republicans were to say these things, the press would exasperate them. But when a Democrat does it, the press treats them as legitimate because the press is on the same side. Anything that goes against the Democrat desire is cheating and must be stopped. Harris's controversial remarks came as she failed the 2024 Democratic presidential nominee is eyeing a potential run for the White House in 2028. Yeah, she's leading in all the polls right now of all the known Democrats that are running that say they might run or the press is edging them on. It's always the press that eggs people on to do stuff they don't really to do. And you know what they do that for? So they can make that good old Benjamins and stuff to get rich from all the media advertisements they're going to get. That's why. All right. So that being said on that, let me go over here. So whoa. Okay. So multi-member districts. Okay. A multi-member district are electoral districts that send two or more representatives to a legislative body, contrasting with single-member districts that elect one, like the U.S. Congress. Multi-member districts are used in some state and local elections to increase representation, diversity, and there's that word diversity, often paired with proportional voting. We call them jungle elections. All right. Current usage as of 2025, 10 U.S. states use MMDs for at least one chamber of their state legislature. Arizona, New Jersey, South Dakota, and Washington use them for their lower chambers. These districts often elect 3, 5, 7 members with 910 out of 7,386 state legislature seats, 12.3%, being filled through this method. And then methods to use MMDs included block voting. Voters cast as many votes as there are seats. And then there's cumulative voting. Voters can distribute votes among candidates, allowing for better minority representation. And there's the one I hate, ranked choice voting, which is used in conjunction with larger multi-winner districts in proposals like in the Fair Representation Act. Okay, to give you an idea of what of what this is. Okay, block voting. Um, well, cumulative voting. So in Killeen has a two-step city council. They have 4 districts and they have 3 at large. Okay, so that's 7, right? So this last election they just had, they had 15 people file for at-large city council seat. All right, 15. Only 3 seats were available. They elect all 3 seats at the same time. So they put all 15 people on the ballot, right? And the 3 of those 15 that get the most votes are elected to city council. Okay? So you may have 6,000 people vote, but you'll end up getting, with that many people, you might get 800 votes out of that. Maybe it's 700 votes, maybe a little bit less. But the top 3 vote getters get elected to the city council. That's what this does, all right? So, and then ranked choice voting is like a 3-step or 4-step voting process where you put everybody on the ballot: Republican, Democrat, Independent, Communist, Socialist, Green, Libs, okay, Libertarian. You put them all on the ballot, right? And then they go in, they vote, but if nobody gets 50% or greater than 50% and to win, they go to the next, and you rank your next vote as when you're voting on your first ballot, right? So you vote who you want to vote. You want to vote for James, right? But James doesn't get 51% or 50% plus 1, right? We go to the next, the ranked choice. So at that point, you take the remaining people on there, and the person in last place drops out, and then you go in and you select who you want to vote. They tally it all up. If nobody gets 50% plus 1, they go to the next round of balloting, and the next person drops off. Okay, and then you retally all your vote, and then from there you go to the next one if they don't get 50% until they have a candidate that gets 50% plus 1 to win. All right. Instead of having a runoff, what they're doing is milking it all down and hoping and praying that people give up and don't vote on the ranked choice. So it drastically narrows down the pot of votes to be able to get through, so they can shove through their candidate. That's how Lisa Murkowski won re-election to the United States Senate up in Alaska, because she pushed through ranked choice voting in the state legislature in Alaska. Okay, so that right there. So there's a website. It's called the Fair Representation Act. It is. Hold on. Let's see. So there's a Uniform Congressional District Act of 1967, requires single-member districts for the U.S. House of Representatives. But when you listen to the video of what Kamala Harris, it's on X, okay? Go to, oh man, hold on just a second. Where's my X on here? There's X. Hold it. Let's see. Oh, Pat Adams. That's who you need to go. You need to go to Pat. It's at Pat Adams 96. Okay, that's where you get it from. So I'm going to go to the website. It's the Fair Representation Act. So now, as you saw, what you just heard me say, in 1967, the Congress passed a bill that forbids multi-member districts. So the only way that Congress, that the Democrats can get MMDs is to change the law, pass a new law overriding the Uniform Congressional Districts Act of 1967. So they came up with the Fair Representation Act. It's on ScrewTube. It's called How to Fix Congress. It's called the Fair Vote. Okay? Hold on just a second. So the Fair Representation Act is House Resolution 4632. Okay? Let's see. House Resolution 4632. I just put it in the live chat. Okay? Okay, so what they say here, the Fair Representation Act is a bold, comprehensive solution that solves the problem of partisan gerrymandering and uncompetitive elections for the U.S. House. It combines three main components: multi-member districts for congressional elections, ranked choice voting in these elections, and new requirements for congressional redistricting. Our traditional winner-take-all politics polarizes legislative bodies, making it difficult to pass legislation the majority of the public supports. It also makes it more difficult to diversify legislative bodies and ensure that people are represented in government. The Fair Representation Act has the power to transform our political system and create a more inclusive and deliberative government which respects and empowers all voices. It said voters can ask their representatives to support their act. Here, there's a hyperlink there, so you can click on it, and like mine would go to John Carter. Okay, so there's a graph here. So the current system has a whole group of people with the arrow going to one person, right? And then it's a white person with gray hair, and it's a girl. Okay, so fair representation is the same group of people with the arrow going over. They got the gray haired lady, then they have a black lady with blue hair, and then they have a white guy with blonde hair. Okay, so the three people would represent this whole group of people. Let's put it like this: you could easily do that with. In Wyoming, you have no choice because they got one congressional representative and two senators, right? But if you did something like that in Texas, we have 38 congressional districts. What you could honestly do if the Democrats, or I'll say this time, Dummycrats, wanted to do this, they could actually set forth and make in Texas or New York or California or Virginia, right? They can put, we are going to multi-member district. We're changing the law. So if DC changed the law to allow states to do this, you could do, let's put it like in California, right? We're going to make all 48 of our congressional districts, I think it is, multi-member districts. And they're going to run a jungle primary at all 52 representatives, or they could like marry it down. But let's do it like that. 48 or 52 congressional districts in California. And they find 40 people in Los Angeles, all like-minded, to run on the same ticket, the block ticket, right? And then they say, choose 40 out of 48 in this race to represent you in Congress, right? And those 40 people that get selected in there are all like-minded people, all from the same city, same section of the state, go to D.C. And they're representing someone way up in Eureka, California, about 400 miles away. What does that person in Los Angeles know about the person 400 miles north of them? at all. Or you do vice versa. You do block voting like that, the fairness vote, right? The multi-member, right? And if one person way up there in Eureka gets elected statewide, like they're a U.S. senator, what do they know about the people who live in uh, San Diego, California? And you can apply it to Texas, right? The same thing. You have someone, if we did statewide voting for all 38 of our congressional districts, right? And someone way up in uh, no, we won't go that one. We'll go to Amarillo, right? And they get elected, right? What would they know about someone that lives way down in Port Arthur? This is why it's such an asinine idea that it should never cross the path of any legitimate, believing, democracy minded person in the United States would ever tolerate. This is unbelievable. The language of civil war. This has a propensity of destroying the United States as we know it. It would shred the Constitution, that multi-member districts, and then we'll do a plurality instead of electoral vote, right? And then, uh, let's just plus up the Supreme Court. And then, oh, by the way, we're going to make D.C. And then D.C. It's against the Constitution in the first place to even think about making D.C. A state. And then they want to make Puerto Rico at the same time. Why don't you make the Virgin Islands and Guam a state also? And by the way, we'll go down, and since we took Maduro out of power in Venezuela, let's just make that a state. And in Alberta, they're about to vote for independence. Let's just make them a state and keep flooding more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, you have a socialistic government in the States, just like Nazi Germany. Yeah, Germany was a socialist state. It was not a right-wing or Republican-style state. It was a national socialism. That's exactly what it is. And it'd be just like Germany. You'd be like Russia, right? Be like Belarus. I mean, we can keep going if you want. This is why our country was formed the way it was, for fair representation, state by state and district by district, to keep it fair among everybody that lives here. We are not Europe in the 1800s, 1600s. We're not fiefdoms and kings and queens at all. All right? I got to figure out how to start putting videos on her, but it goes even further. If you understand, if you like what I'm talking about, put a like the podcast and put a comment in the chat or in the comment itself. This is unbelievable. Ranked choice voting and this Fair Representation Act should never be allowed inside the United States. Jungle primaries should not be allowed inside the United States. I'll go one step further about the clean thing, okay? Like I was just talking about, how they put everybody on a jungle ballot, top 3 gets elected, right? You go 10 miles to the west of Killeen, we have Copper's Cove. That's where I live at, right? We have 7 city council members, and we have place 1, place 2, place 3, place 4, 5, and 6, right? And we are at large for voting. We don't have precincts in our city, right? But when you run for city council, you run for place 1, and you get a candidate or 2 or 3 or 4, right? And we're 50 plus 1, 50% plus 1. So when you go up for election, you run against someone for your placement in that district, but you for that seat, but you represent the city. And the same with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We don't block or jungle vote everybody onto one ballot, right? You have fair representation. So we have Christy Strophus, we have Rita Hogan, we have Howard Hawk, we have John Hale, we have Dale Treadway, we have Vanya Hart, and we have Jack Smith. And I had the opportunity to vote for each and every one of them. All right. As a matter of fact, I voted for all of them except for Howard Hawk because I know he's a Democrat. All right. So this is what we have to do. We have to keep this madness from entering into the mainstream political rhetoric. And the only way you do that is you vote Republican and keep the Democrats out of the majority, flat out, right? So going on is very, very much more. I need to go over this. The Fair Representation Act creates more opportunities for Americans across the political spectrum to be fair represented in government, no matter their zip code. This means greater inclusion for people of color, urban Republicans, rural Democrats, independents, and third-party voters, major party bases, and other voters across the political spectrum. With the Fair Representation Act, far more Americans are represented by elected officials who are incentivized to make decisions that reflect on the will of their constituents. You know what I say about that? All your candidates would do is campaign in the cities and they forget about the flyover counties and the flyover states. That's all they would do. All the power would be in Dallas, in Houston, and they would forget everything from Midlothian all the way down to Conroe. Definitely, definitely. This is absolute. This should never be allowed. I'm not gonna forget about this. I'm gonna go over this again because I'm gonna figure out a way to get this on the screen here. Okay, that is crazy. All right, moving on. Oh man. Okay, let me get out of here before I go crazy. So let me see here. Let me refresh. Okay, give me a second. Let me read this real quick. I'm on. What? Oh, it won't let me do it now. Cancel. Really? All right. So, U.S. moving to indict former Cuban leader Raul Castro. I was reading some of this morning. I told you I would update it, and I did, and I found out exactly why they want to indict him. Uh, the United States is moving to indict Raul Castro, the former Cuban president. Uh, Potential charges against Castro, who's 94 years old, came after CIA Director John Ratcliffe met Thursday with counterparts from Cuba's uh, Ministry of the Interior during a high-level visit to the island nation. CBS News first reported the potential charges. Raul Castro is the younger brother of longtime Cuban leader Fidel Castro, who died in 2016. Castro was reported being indicted in connection with downing of planes 30 years ago. I remember that. The officials familiar with the matter told CBS News the the indictment, which would require approval from a grand jury, was centered on Cuba's deadly 1996 shootdown of planes operated by the humanitarian group Brothers to the Rescue, according to the report. During his meeting Thursday, Ratcliffe met with Cuban officials, including Raulito Rodriguez Castro, the Interior Minister, uh, the Interior Minister Lazaro Alvarez Casas, and the head of the Cuban intelligence services in Havana to personally deliver President Trump's message that the United States is prepared to seriously engage in economic and security issues, but only if Cuba makes fundamental changes. A CIA official told Fox News that Ratcliffe and Cuban officials discussed intelligence cooperation, economic stability, and security issues against the backdrop that Cuba could no longer be a safe haven for adversaries in the Western Hemisphere. Ratcliffe also stressed that the Trump administration was offering genuine opportunity for cooperation and that Trump should be taken seriously. Earlier this month, Trump joked during remarks at the Forum Club of Palm Beach in Florida that the U.S. would be taking over Cuba almost immediately. He was joking, people. Cuba's got problems. We'll finish one first, and I like to finish a job. Okay, so this is about a humanitarian group. What were they called? Brothers to the Rescue. So they were flying off the coast of Florida in 1992, I believe it was, right? Or wait a minute, no, it wasn't. It was during the Clinton administration, and what was going on was that these guys were flying humanitarian supplies for Cuba, and Raul Castro instructed that they get shot down. That's what happened. And 3 men died in response to that, right? So, wow, that is something else. Next. So we got that done, We still got to go over that. And then, what time we got? It's 12:43. Well, we're not doing too bad here. We'll talk about this one real quick. Speaker Johnson defends the Trump ballroom. Um, he was talking to Just the News. So, despite public condemnation from Democrats, the House Republicans are confident that the $1 billion earmark for security upgrades to President Trump's ballroom will remain in their budget reconciliation bill. House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters Wednesday that congressional Republicans are right on schedule to pass the filibuster-proof bill, which appropriates $70 billion in advance funding for federal immigration enforcement agencies by June 1st. All right. We will willfully fund both border security and immigration enforcement for the balance of President Trump's term. Democrats are champing at the bit to regain power and reopen our borders and allow violent, criminal, illegal aliens to continue to roam our streets. We're not going to let them do that. So we're eager to finish this reconciliation process and get the bill on the president's desk. And then Democrats have accused the Republicans of being out of touch for providing a $1 billion Secret Service, the sum that would ultimately pay for security upgrades in the White House ballroom. So you hear that. The Democrats thinking that the $1 billion that was going to be procured, that they're going to use it to help build the White House ballroom. It is not. It is specifically put in the bill that it will not be used for any part of building it. Let's see. So the budget reconciliation bill specifies that none of the funds made available may be used for non-security elements of the project. referring to construction of the ballroom itself. That's to make the bill bipartisan. It's funding everything. It's going to, if you know about the POC and about other stuff that goes along with said POC. It's old. People know it's old. Now everybody knows because loose lips sink ships exactly where it was because too many people put it online. Like I know stuff about some of the places where I've been stationed at that we were told never to talk about. And I fully believe that. You got people that were here that think I'm a journalist. I can just talk about it all now. Well, no, you can't because it still exists. It's for the protection of our government, the continuity of government. You should not be talking about it too much. I may be venturing down a path I shouldn't be going on right now, so I'll stop on that. The fact is the Secret Service needs that, along with WAMO, about protecting the structural integrity of the White House and the East Ballroom, and we'll leave it at that. It's not to build the ballroom. It's not to paint the ballroom. It's not to put chairs and tables in the ballroom. It's for security, modernization, and upgrades to the existing security system in that area. All right? Is that clear as mud or what? Okay, so next. Trump wraps up widely watched trip to China. All right? Well, I thought my phone rang. All righty. So, President, like I said, he's on his way home. All right? Matter of fact, I believe what they said this morning, they waited for him to be out of Chinese airspace and before they had their press gaggle. All right? And in which they did. I was looking for a transcript of the gaggle. That would have been pretty good to have. But got to do what we got to let people write about it. And you got to print it off before they make it disappear. Air Force One lifted off after President Trump wrapped up his visit to China, where he met with Chinese President Xi Jinping this week. The president spoke to the press on Air Force One, calling Xi an incredible guy. Trump said Xi feels very strongly on the Taiwan issue, but noted, I made no commitment either way. But the last thing we need right now is a war that's 9,500 miles away. Trump indicated that Xi asked him whether he'd defend Taiwan. Why would the Chinese president ask that question unless he was preparing for the inevitability, whether do I wait 3 more years or 3 more months? That's probably what he was doing. He said, Trump said, I don't talk about that, the U.S. president noted. Trump said that Xi told me that would be a tough one regarding the possibility of releasing prisoner Jimmy Lai. He said he's going to strongly consider that pastor, Trump said, apparently referring to the imprisoned pastor Ezra Jin. The visit between the two leaders occurred amid ongoing U.S. conflict in Iran as America continues to conduct blockade against the Islamic Republic. The White House released about a meeting between Xi and Trump. Read, the two sides agreed that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open and free flow of energy. President Xi also made clear China's opposition to militarization of the strait and any effort to charge a toll for its use. India expressed interest in purchasing more American oil to release China's dependent on the strait in the future. Both countries agreed that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. Speaking at a banquet, President Trump invited Xi and his wife to the White House September 24th. And tonight, it is my honor to extend an invitation to Madame Ping to visit at the White House September 24th, and we look forward to it. That's all for that one. And then to continue on about China, we have President Donald Trump held his final meeting with President Xi, touting a big win on one of the central focuses of the high-stakes summit after the two leaders held a bilateral tea on the Zongnanhai compound. He's like one of only 4 presidents that's ever been allowed in that compound. This has been a great, incredible visit. I think it's a lot of good that has come of it, and we made some fantastic trade deals, great for both countries. The announcement comes against a backdrop of years-long standoff between U.S. and China, and Trump arguing aggressive duties are needed to enforce fair trade terms with Beijing was repeatedly pushed back. While it is unclear which details were reached, it shared that China had agreed to order 200 Boeing jets. Someone just made some money. A U.S. ambassador to China, David Perdue, he used to be U.S. Senator in Georgia, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and War Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer were present for the meeting. Top business leaders, Trump, that's about all that came out of that with the order. So I bet they're prepping for September 24th. That's what it looks like. And they wanted to talk about Iran. Breaking news. Hold on. Wow. Every single school in this local school district was just placed on secure status. That's in Central Texas. Hold on just a second, okay? I want to see that. This is a matter of importance. Hold it. Oh, wow. This is in Killeen, Texas. All Killeen Independent School District campuses have been placed in a secure status out of an abundance of caution on Friday afternoon. We were just talking about Killeen just a second ago. The school district said local law enforcement advised an unknown individual made a threat involving a weapon and a homemade explosive device in the vicinity of Bunny Trail. Bunny Trail is where Roy Smith Middle School is. Killeen, I live here. Killeen ISD said law enforcement is actively investigating during a secure status. All exterior doors are secure and no one is permitted to enter or exit the building, the district says. Students and staff made their day as normal inside the school. Wow. I hope my daughter is hearing this before she leaves for work because she got to drive through Killeen. Rachel, if you're listening to this, be careful driving through Killeen. Wow. Okay. That's crazy. And there's like a week left of school, people. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about, 2 things. Okay, man. Here's one right here. I'll talk about real quick. Jim Clyburn said he He's upset because it looks like um, South Carolina is going to redistrict his congressional district to make it fair, and he won't have a majority minority congressional district anymore, and he'll have to compete with everybody else just the same. All right. So this morning, the special session in South Carolina kicked off for redistricting. Okay. And you remember what I was telling about? Steve Cohen said that he wants to go back home and eat Kentucky Fried Chicken down in Memphis. All right. So where are we at? We're at 12:57. Wow. So Congresswoman Young Kim. Okay. She is in the 38th Congress, 38th. She's in the 40th congressional district of California. She wrote, "This is how the Chinese Communist Party controls essential parts of our life here inside the United States, and we have no idea of how much control the what do you call it? The Communist Party in China has over us." So, and after this, I'm going to close out with this one other good news thing, okay? Now get it ready. There we go. I'll figure out how to cover the rest of this later. All right. So, critical minerals quietly power every aspect of modern American life. As you pour your morning coffee, you're relying on copper wiring and silicon chips that working behind the scenes inside your coffee maker. When you grab milk from the refrigerator, you're depending on components, copper wiring, electronic controls to keep everything cold. That would be your refrigerator, right? Uh, Turn on the TV to another round of bickering politicians or cable news, and you are looking at a screen built with indium, lithium, and rare earth phosphors. Flip off the lights, hop in your car, connect your phone to Bluetooth, and turn on your favorite podcast, like me, uh, and for the drive to work, whether you're driving to work or through Rochester, New York. Um, that everyday routine depends on copper, lithium, and a whole host of other critical minerals that powers batteries, speakers, and navigation systems, electric motors, and modern communications technology. These materials are so deeply embedded into our daily lives that most Americans would never think twice about them, but they should. Beijing certainly has. The Chinese Communist Party has spent decades and hundreds of billions of dollars cornering the market for critical minerals, from mining to processing and refining. Today, China controls roughly 70% of the global rare earth mining and nearly 90% of rare earth refining capacity, dominating the supply chains that underpin America's economic and national security. This is not just about what goes into your coffee maker or your iPhone. Critical minerals are essential to America's military strength, powering everything from advanced fighter jets to missile systems to radar, satellite, and communications technology. China knows this and has demonstrated time and time again its willingness to weaponize global supply chains and geographical leverage. Last year, Beijing imposed sweeping export controls on rare earth elements, disrupting global markets and sending shockwaves through defense and manufacturing supply chains. The consequences hit Americans directly. Supply disruptions drive up costs, slow manufacturing, threaten jobs, and make everything from cars and consumer electronics more expensive and harder to produce. My home state of California, that's hers, not mine, aerospace industry offers a clear example of what's at stake. This sector supports more than 350,000 jobs and generates tens of billions of dollars in annual economic output. It is also central to America's defense and industrial base, producing advanced aircraft, satellites, and missile systems. Without reliable access to critical minerals, thousands of jobs and billions in economic activity are at risk. President Trump and administration understand the urgency of this challenge and are moving quickly to restore American energy and mineral dominance. Just because China has all this doesn't mean we have it here in the United States. We just haven't exploited it and extracted it from our ground. That's what she's saying. President Trump and his administration understand the urgency and this challenge and are moving quickly to restore American energy and mineral dominance. Recent efforts to strengthen uh, domestic mining and support companies like MP Minerals and Lithium Americas are important steps in the right direction. But America cannot solve this problem alone. Even the most increased domestic production, global demand for critical minerals is projected to skyrocket in the coming decades. Some estimates show the world will consume as much copper over the next 25 years as humanity has in all of recorded history. This is why we must work alongside our most trusted allies and friends to build strong, resilient supply chains away from China. This week, by developing overseas mineral investments in new allied networks for critical energies dominance Act passed out of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. The Dominance Act helps lock in President Trump's critical minerals strategy and creates a coordinated approach to secure the supply chains and build our economy in national defense. This legislation strengthens America's ability to work with allies, reduce dependence on China, and ensures the free world, not the Chinese Communist Party, controls the resources that will define the 21st century. This is just not about energy or industrial policy. It is not about military might or geopolitical competition, although that is certainly part of the calculus. At its core, the challenge is about protecting the American dream and our way of life. The appliances in our home, the cars we drive, the technology we rely on each day, like the cameras and the internet, allow me to project toward you. All right. Uh, and the military systems that defend our nation all depend on secure critical mineral supply chains. America can either meet this moment now or risk regretting it for the next 100 years. I'm optimistic that under this administration and alongside of our allies, America can reclaim our critical mineral supply chains and take back our future energy. It is written by Republican Representative Young Kim, who represents California's 40th congressional district. All right, and I believe that's in Orange County. All right, that is that is something else. I mean, the supply and the means to be able to refine it are extraordinary efforts being done in China, and it holds the rest of the world, especially the United States, at risk of if something should happen between us and China, would we be able to continue? And that is why the president is working so hard to bring manufacturing back to the United States, both mining and manufacturing. So we don't put ourselves in a position where we're held hostage by another country across the globe. All right. All right. So what time we got? We got 1:06. We still got some people online. Um, Ricky, are you still online? Give me a yes or give me a no. I don't think he's still online. Wow. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some Rumble Premium for a few minutes, okay? Because I'm going to read this one deal about Granger Smith. All right. So